So we got a very interesting video today. We got Caleb No, who went ahead and posted this bad boy right here on Twitter. He talks about Brad Robbins' hip flexor injury. He kind of breaks it down, so I'd like to go ahead and get right into this. He is a former kicker, so he does have really good experience with this said injury, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions after it's all said and done. Let's go.
Bengals punter Brad Robbins has a hip flexor injury. Now, I'm a former kicker who dealt with my fair share of hip flexor issues. So first of all, what is it? Well, I could show you a diagram or something scientific like a doctor might. Let me explain it to you in my own terms. Get down on a knee, push your hips forward and lean your shoulders back into the side. That pull you feel there is your hip flexor. In the natural motion of kicking a football, there's a lot of whip that happens in that hip area. That's where the hip flexor becomes an issue. But wait, Brad Robbins is a punter. Well, Brad told us it actually happened while he was practicing kickoffs, which makes a lot more sense. So wait, why was he practicing kickoffs though? Well, a lot of times if your kicker gets hurt, the emergency kickoff man is the punter.
I'm going to visualize and get as many.
I also feel like, side note here, just to cut in, I also feel like we're also trying to utilize him as a KOS kicker, because you don't want to have Money Mac out there trying to make tackles as the last line of defense, right? You want to have someone like Brad Robbins or someone like Ryan who can actually make a tackle, and you don't have to rely on Money Mac. It's not saying Money Mac can't make a tackle. You don't want to risk injury, so that's also kind of the situation here, why he was being utilized as a KOS kicker. KOS standing for kickoff specialist.
Mental reps as I can, because the mind's a powerful thing. So the more I can visualize my success on the field, the quicker I can get back.
Now the good thing is it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst possible diagnosis, but I promise you it can be painful, even things like walking. However, you're more likely to be able to punt with a hip flexor issue than kick, because most of your power in punting comes from the core, quad, and hamstring as you push off the ground and through the football in a forward motion, whereas in kicking a field goal, a lot more power does come from that swing of the hips.
Let's be honest, how many people, myself included, if they just did that punting formation of punting motion he just did, would tear an ACL, PCL, and MCL. I literally almost tore my own MCL just watching him do that formation or that motion. With that being said, okay, so I guess that's positive that he could, technically speaking, still play with this. If, like, let's say by the season starts, right, he gets better and better and better, and he's feeling better, he could technically play with this injury or play with this issue. But I think, based on what he says here, we're probably going to be taking or carrying two punters into the season. And that was not the, goal here. The goal was that one guy win. But if what he's saying is, like, yes, it's going to take some time. It hurts to walk. It's not as impactful to a punter, but if you can't even walk correctly, I'm going to doubt you can actually punt the ball correctly. If all these things are, a factor, it sounds like this might take like 2 or 3 weeks to get better, at least a month to get better. And if that's the case, you either, one, say Ryan wins the starting job, because the fact that Brad Robbins, can't be a punter right now because he's hurt. Or two, which is probably what we're going to do in the end here, in my opinion, is we're probably just going to say we're going to carry two punters going into the season. And then that's going to carry its own issues with the 53-man roster and using up an extra spot for a punter. But you kind of don't really have a choice. If he's out for a month, it's not really a fair competition, I feel like, for a punting competition back and forth to see who's the better guy, right? So, it's that, and also, if you go into the season, let's say you go into week 1, right, go to the Patriots game, and your punter, Brad Robbins, gets hurt even worse, or this hip flex injury is even more of a problem than we once thought it was, and this kind of gets worse and worse, or maybe it comes back. You need to have another punter ready to go. You can't be in the game and not have a punter. So, in theory there, unless 100% Brad is ready to go week 1, you need to have a plan B option. It just throws a monkey wrench into everything. It really does. Because, as I've said many times about our roster right now, I feel like we have a very, very solid roster. I feel like our 53-man roster is almost complete. Like, there are some players who still we need to see if they're going to make the 53-man roster or not. But 90% of the players on our roster, we already know who's going to make the 53-man roster. Like, there are some players who here and there have to make it, but for the most part, we're good. I'll be interested to see how this kind of impacts that, because having an extra, like, using an extra roster spot for a punter, an extra punter, that's going to suck. And you could do the logical thing, and it's not the most humane thing here, and just say, oh, you hurt? Guess what, buddy? We're going to put you on IR, and we're going to bring in Ryan. And Ryan's now our starting punter. I said not the most humane. Not the most... sounds like a torturing. It's not the most ethical, I guess. Like, you know, for the player. Like, if the player's hurt, just be like, hey, you lose your job. But that is also football. It's a fast-paced industry. It's a fast-paced sport. You got to be healthy, man. You got to stay healthy. You can't stay healthy, you lose your job. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I really just said the word humane. I apologize. I apologize for using that. That is not the right word in any circumstance. The most humane. It sounds like I'm saying like we're literally forcing him to punt the ball when he's hurt. But nah. Peace out, guys.